Alrighty, hello and welcome back to Talk Small Business to Me. I am Trista from Aussie Insurance, and today we have the amazing Rose from, okay, so I got the brief on how to actually say the name, but I'm going to butcher it, so she's going to correct me, but Con Miele Desserts. Do you want to clarify the actual business name? Because obviously I'm not Italian.
you did very well. Yeah, so it's Con Miele Desserts, but don't worry. Con Miele is just fine. You did well.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna branch into my Duolingo Italian very soon. I reckon this is my starting. But yeah, she's just joining us today to share her business journey, how she established her amazing dessert business, and yeah, just all things small business and baked goods. One thing I love to start the podcast asking, because I'm so interested with everyone's answers, is if your business had a signature song, what would it be?
Oh, wow. Gosh. That is such a good question. I'm going to say sugar.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah.
Well, actually, there's a couple of songs called Sugar, but I think they all kind of suit the business well. So
which one are you thinking? Because I feel like I've got it.
Isn't there one by Maroon 5, which is super?
Yeah, okay.
I'm showing my age, but there's also Yummy by, I think that's Justin Bieber. Anyway, one of those songs.
Yeah. I'm thinking of sugar, honey.
Yeah, that one. Well, actually, fun fact, con miele in Italian is with honey. So I wanted a really interesting or unique name, but I wanted to do it in Italian. So I was like, oh, with honey is cool, but I'll do it in Italian. So there you go.
That's so cute. So why with honey? What was the reasoning?
Honestly, I was really young when I started this, so I just wanted a really cool name. That's something I knew what I didn't want, and what I didn't want was something that was had the word sugar or yum or just Rose's desserts or just something like that. So I wanted something really different, and I really liked the way that with honey sounded in Italian. So we just went with that. And then I put the Australian word desserts on the end so people would at least kind of understand what the business is.
Totally. What is this?
Yeah.
That's clever.
Yeah.
I reckon let's jump into the questions, but kind of talking about obviously how your name and stuff like that. I would love to hear how you first started getting into cake making, and when did you realize it would be a business rather than just a hobby or just an idea?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, I've always loved baking from a young age. So I do remember when I was younger with my nonna, so my grandmother, she used to bake cakes and biscuits were her thing. So she loved all kinds of cooking, but in particular, there's one cake that I can recall her making, and then a whole bunch of different biscuits that she used to make. And I mean, I used to just enjoy eating them, to be honest. I don't.
No.
I remember helping her make them, but I remember more so just enjoying eating them. And then I think that just kind of developed as I grew older. I wanted, when I was kind of in my late teenage years, and then after I had finished school, I kind of wanted to do something extra with my time while I was at uni. So I started a cake decorating night class. It was just kind of a group of people who went to this cake decorator's house and learned how to make sugar flowers or how to kind of cover a cake in fondant. And we would do really simple things, but I kind of remember doing 2 terms of that, and I loved it. And I always used to just bake things for, my friends and family. And then I remember one day, 2016, I was actually overseas at the time on a holiday, and my mum reached out to me and she said, "Oh, hey, a family friend would really like you to make her husband's 60th birthday cake." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, all right, I'll do it. Tell her I'll make it, once I'm home." And she's like, "But she'd actually really like to pay you." And I was like, "Oh, well, I didn't want to be paid. Like, that's okay." And she's like, "No, she only wants you to do it if you'll accept being paid." And so, yeah, I remember that being my very first paid cake. I remember being extremely nervous, but
Mhm.
did very well for what I think at the time, and they loved it. And I kind of priced it however I priced it, and don't even know what I did back then. But yeah, they loved it. They enjoyed it. I got really good feedback, and I just remember feeling like really proud of myself, but really happy that they were so happy with it. And then I think just from there, everything just kind of continued. Like, I just kind of thought, all right, well, if one person wants to pay me, I feel like other people would want to pay me. And so we went from there, and I kind of got really excited and was like, let's make a name and let's make a logo, and let's try this. So yeah, that's how I got into it. That's how the business started.
Yeah, awesome. Was there a moment where you thought like, oh, this is real now?
Um, there was. I think for me with the business, a lot of my orders at first were from family or friends. So even though I was making money doing these orders, it kind of just, I very much appreciate every single order I get, but they were all family and friends and people I know. I think the moment where I would have said to myself, wow, like, this is actually real, I've actually started a business, probably would have been the first time I got an order from someone who I didn't know. So a customer who had seen my work online on Instagram and reached out to me, and I had to quote it properly, and I had to, do all of that background work and present a quote to someone. And when they accepted it, I think that would have been the turning point for me, where I'm like, wow, I've actually gotten my first order from someone who I don't know. And I'm actually going to get paid to do it. So I think that would have been the point for me.
Yeah, awesome. Has there been a cake or a creation that you've made that kind of like like stuck with you? Where you, this is, I'm so proud of this.
Yeah. Look, yeah, there are a few, but for different reasons. So I think there's a certain cake, I guess, that kind of sticks in my mind because the brief that I received for that cake was pretty much, this is the color I want incorporated, but I'm really happy for you to go and do whatever you want to do. And then obviously with that, there was no kind of budget attached. So that cake I am really proud of because I kind of completely turned it into my own. It was kind of in the first few years of me starting the business. And actually that order was from the very first person who asked me to make a cake and paid me for it.
Wow.
So for me, she kind of gave me complete creative freedom, and I was able to put together something for her mother's 90th that was just kind of out of this. I loved it. It was a design that I hadn't seen before, that I had done myself. It was actually multiple cakes. And yeah, I'm really proud of that one. And then I guess there are some other cake designs that I would say I'm really proud of because they're designs that I wouldn't necessarily have done before or taken on before and said yes to, but I kind of committed to it and practiced it, and yeah, I kind of got there in the end. And that particular cake that I'm referring to isn't a standard cake. It's not just a round or a rectangle or a square. It was actually a character figure cake. So I worked really hard to get that cake, to practice to get that cake to where it would need to be so that I would be comfortable for someone to pay me for that one. So yeah, that's probably a second cake that sticks out in my mind that I'm really proud of.
And I think there's something so special about it being that like first person as well, where it's that sense of, oh, like you've established this clientele, right, that keeps
Yeah.
coming back, and it's just that reassurance of, oh, like I can do it, to the fact that people want to come back and get it again
Yeah.
for another
Yeah.
birthday and another celebration.
Yeah,
I think there's
absolutely. And
something so special.
I think also there's something special in someone seeing that I have this capability to make
Mm.
cakes or to do something that's worth paying for, because I didn't necessarily see that. Like, I didn't think that until someone else said it to me and offered me that opportunity to do it. So I think, yeah, definitely something special in that very first order. But then seeing them continue to come back, yeah, that is something where kind of, that reassurance that what I'm doing they love, and they're going to come back and they're going to pay me for it, and they're going to keep loving it and spread the word even. So yeah, there is something special in that.
Mm. And obviously, you have a lot of people that you're kind of like facilitating on their journey and stuff. Is there any sort of maybe like frustrating misconceptions, or just plain misconceptions people have around what you do in your creations?
Yeah, look, it's a really good question. I think there aren't too many, I guess, misconceptions that I've come across in my time doing this. I guess the one thing that I would maybe say is that the time and effort that it takes to create a cake, or to put together a design, or really from the beginning. So I am the only person in this business, so everything goes through me, from designing the cake if they've asked me to design something based off inspiration, quoting the cake, sourcing everything I need for that cake, to baking the actual cakes, putting it together, decorating, packaging, sometimes even delivering. So I think there's I guess a bit of a misconception around how much time that actually takes, or I guess the amount of effort involved. But in saying that, I don't expect people to know because they haven't done it themselves. So there is that misconception, and there is that kind of careful balance that I then need to take on between, putting in all of that effort and trying to work to perfection to ensure that it's 110% what I'm delivering, but also understanding that I guess I need to just stay true to what I've quoted, what I said I would deliver, and just, putting my best effort to get that done in I guess a time that's worthwhile for me. Knowing that I can't expect everyone to understand how much time goes into something like this.
So how do you go about like educating clients about that and that time process, or what it looks like using certain materials and so on and so forth?
Yeah. Look, so I work with certain, I specialize in certain cakes and certain cookies. I only make buttercream cakes. I might dabble with fondant every now and again if I feel confident that I can do it. But yeah, I specialize in buttercream cakes, and I specialize in fondant cookies. So I do kind of manage expectations around what I can deliver right up front. So if they're asking for something that I know I can't do, or I won't do, I'm just open about it from the beginning. And I guess I actually am more than happy to kind of direct people, or offer alternatives for what they're looking for from cake makers that I know that would be able to do it, or cookie makers that I know that would be able to do what they're asking. But other than that, I just manage expectations, by being upfront. If there's a cake topper that's going to cost a lot of money, for example, or if there's a piece of edible icing that's going to cost a lot, or whatever that might be, or I'm just upfront. I just let them know, and I'm quite transparent. For example, what my quote is made up of, so that they understand where that's coming from. Because really there is no other way for me to be able to manage that, really.
Yeah, totally. And kind of branching off that leads really well into our next question. So How do you handle like trends? Do you follow them, avoid them, adapt your style accordingly,
Yeah.
particularly if there's like client pressure or so on and so forth?
Yeah. So look, I love a good trend. There are some
Mhm.
trends out there that I see on Instagram where I'm kind of like, oh, I really want someone to ask me like to do that cake, and I really want to do it. I really wish someone would order that from me. And there've been times where that has happened, and they've ordered it from me. And there've been other times where I just make a cake myself to do the trend because I haven't been asked. But
Mhm.
I think, look, I'm not going to shy away from the larger trends, or I guess the popular cakes that aren't necessarily my own design. But what I will say is that I am, I guess, my own cake maker, and I do have kind of my own signature way of doing things. So any cake that I make will always have a touch of myself. And a touch of like what I can do, or how my creative flair to that cake. So yeah, love to take on a trend. I don't only do my own designs. I'm happy to take lead from inspiration pictures, but there will always be kind of a touch of my own. So like I won't, for example, promise you or a customer that I will do something exactly the same, because I'm my own maker, so I
Yeah.
can't. But yeah, that's how I mean, I love a trend, and I'll just add something creative to make it my own.
Has there ever been like a trend that's pushed you in a direction you maybe didn't enjoy?
Oh wow. Um, Thinking back, um, there've definitely been trends where I've decided myself that I wouldn't enjoy it, and so therefore, if someone asked me to do it, it would be too stressful for me, or it would be too not complex, but it's something that I don't want to commit to doing.
Yeah.
Um, then I guess I would know that before I would have committed to doing it, and I
Mm,
probably would have politely declined
decline.
the order. To be honest, I won't take on cake trends or cookie trends that I am not comfortable doing. I'm self-taught. Like I haven't, gone to patisserie classes, or I haven't done anything along those lines to get me to where I am. So I'm very aware of, um, my capabilities, what I love doing, what my passion is, and how far I'm willing to challenge myself and push myself. And beyond that, I probably
Mm.
wouldn't let myself go down that path.
Totally. And so over the like years, we were talking about how you stylistically obviously have something in each cake. How has your style evolved over time, and what would have influenced that growth?
A lot of, honestly, a lot of what I guess influences my style, the way I make cakes, or the growth and the evolution of the cakes that I'm making, it is kind of dictated by customer orders and customer preference. Um, but in saying that, if I make a particular order and I post that, I do notice that I will get repeat orders of a similar design, a similar cake off the back of me posting that. So I think
Mm.
that creative design, or whatever the cake that I've posted might be, it does kind of evolve and grow based on one person ordering it, and then other people seeing it and wanting it. And it might be, a period of 2 or 3 months where I'm just continuously making a cake. And it's not just a cake design, it's also cake flavor. So I notice that people who try my cakes at events then reach out to me asking for the same cake flavor, for example. So I see that evolution through flavors as well. But I do kind of find that everything kind of goes around in circles. So
Mm.
if it kind of goes out, it will eventually come back.
Yeah. And how do you balance creativity with the realities of running a business, from pricing? admin, customer expectations, and all those like nitty gritty things
Mm.
that culminate.
Yeah. So I think for me, um, first of all, this is my, I guess, creative outlet. So it's not my only job. I actually do have another job that I do 5 days a week, and then I do this as a side business. And so first and foremost, the creativity for me, I think this is my creative outlet, and this is where I allow myself to go that extra step in terms of creativity and design. But obviously, I have turned it into a business, and the other elements come into play as well. Um, I actually quite enjoy the other elements. So it's not just about the creativity for me. Like, I want to understand, um, you know, how would I price a certain cake? Why do I price it that way? Is there a better way that I can do it? What is the customer looking for? Am I meeting that brief? So I actually quite enjoy that part of the business as well. So for me, balancing that, it comes quite easily. Um, in terms of customer expectations, and I think I mentioned this before, but in terms of balancing my own creativity versus customer expectations, I am always upfront around what I can do, what I won't do. I will always offer a solution. I don't just say like no if I'm not going to take it on. I'll always offer a solution or an alternative. But I think just balancing the customer expectation around what the finished product is going to be for them up front really helps me kind of balance it through the process and delivering that final product. I hope that answers the question well.
No, totally. From that, you were kind of talking about the like boundaries and that sort of thing that you kind of set from the get-go. Has there been like a boundary that you've set that you've had to learn the hard way with a client?
Yes, yeah, there has. Well, there's been I guess maybe a situation, not necessarily client client driven, but it was more within myself allowing that to happen. It was, I guess, at the very beginning of when I'm learning. I was learning how to do all of this. And I think it's around ensuring that the output that I'm giving is worth the time and the effort that I was putting in. So I think at the very beginning, I was kind of like, I just really want to get any order that I can to build this business. But I didn't understand that I needed to work to, maybe the quote or the price that we had already committed to, or to the budget that I had been given. And so I found myself continuously going over and above because I'm a bit of a perfectionist and needed everything to be perfect. So I was going all the way kind of that way to ensure that the finished product was amazing, but I was doing it at the expense of my own time, kind of my own sanity and stress levels. And so I think it is kind of a boundary that I had to, it wasn't necessarily driven by a particular client, but it was kind of just like a situation that I had to go through, a learning that I had to go through at the beginning of running the business. To be able to get myself to where I am today, where it's kind of like, no, you need to balance, delivering a beautiful product, which I will always strive to do, but doing it within the boundaries of the pricing and the description I've given the customer and the amount of time I've allocated myself to do that.
I'm really interested in the idea of that. Obviously, this is your side business and you have your other job, and
Yeah.
there's so much that goes into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like from managing those expectations and boundary setting and everything like that, to actually creating the cake, to then just like the nitty gritty finances, everything like that. What is like a week to week look like in terms of like navigating all of that?
Yeah. I've gotten really good at organizing myself. I plan ahead. I schedule. I make sure that I know what I need to do and when. Um, I do work nights. Sometimes I just have to. So, I'll go to work, I'll come home, and then I'll start what I need to do for my own business. But really, I'm only able to do that because of how kind of, I guess, organized and scheduled I am in doing everything. Because, I've got to go to it's not just kind of quoting, which I can do at home, but there's going to cake suppliers, and there's buying ingredients, and there's ensuring I have everything on hand for the week. Because I do have a 5 day a week job. So I think really that it's all attributed to how I organize my time and how I organize myself. And don't get me wrong, there have been times, there have been weeks where I've caught myself out and like I should have been more organized and I wasn't. And to me, I just take that as a learning, and I'm like, don't do that to yourself again, Rose, because you will get as stressed as you once you were. And but yeah, for me, it's all about the organization.
Mm. And was there anything that was kind of unexpected challenge that you like ran into while running your cake business, or something that no one warned you about around it all?
Yeah, honestly, and I think I've mentioned it before, but honestly, like how long it takes. Like I'm
Mm.
not a franchise um, bakery or a patisserie. I don't have commercial ovens and commercial equipment. I can't kind of just punch out cakes. I do everything myself, which is why I'm a custom cake designer. Um, but it really shocked me actually how much time goes into one creation, into one product. And yeah, like I get quicker at it as I get better at things. And it doesn't take me as long now as it did 6 years ago, or when I started. um, but I do have to say shocked, like at just how much time goes into it to get a beautiful finished product. But yeah, it's not a like kind of click of the fingers and it's done. There's a lot of work and a lot of time, and a lot of process that goes into each individual cake.
Yeah, and that'd be like a resonating feeling for the entire industry, right? Like that there's
Yeah,
this sense of just like no time, but like
yeah,
there's, and everyone just thinks, oh, like easy done, where there's so much thought that goes behind it and so much preparation even, like you were saying.
absolutely. Absolutely. Look, I know that I am not the only person in this industry that feels that way, or that experiences that. Like, I think any custom cake designer would know how much time and effort goes into it. And I mean, I don't know if they were as shocked as I was when I started, but yeah, it's definitely not just a me thing. Like, I think it's industry wide. And it depends what you're doing too. Like, I first and foremost do custom cakes and custom cookies. Sometimes I do desserts as well. But there are certain times in the year where I will do something a bit bigger. So, for example, market stores, or a big one that I do is the June long weekend. Every year there's like I guess a weekend long kind of festival thing that happens where I run a market stall on one of those days, and I sell my prepackaged, baked goods. And like just the time and effort that goes into creating the product and baking the product and packaging the product for that one day, it's amazing. And I do have to say, in those certain times, I actually, onboard family members to help, because there's no
Mm.
other way that I'd be able to do it.
No. Yeah, and it's just like also having time for like work-life balance, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that the dream, you know? But we're trying to like trying to do
Figure
it
it all out.
all.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? I think the only reason why I think I've been doing this for so long is because I actually truly love it. I really enjoy it. I love when I, get compliments from my customers, and they tell me that they loved, not only the design, but the taste of the cake. And um, I do still I've been doing it for 10 years now, and I still am proud of myself when I've done a new cake design. And I think as long as I have that passion and that drive, and I'm still inspired by the work, I think that's kind of what keeps me going. But then also, like, on top of that, setting the boundaries around, how many orders I take on a week, because I do work during the week. So I can't take 6 or 7 or 8 cakes on a weekend. It's too much for me. So I've really come to this place. I really feel like where I am at the moment with the business and my other job is in a really nice settled place where I understand my limits and what I can take on, but I'm still really enjoying it and loving what I do.
That's awesome. Yeah, because it's like one of my favorite things to say is like you're your business's biggest advocate, right? So, and even the culture you set around it and the things that you implement or the balance that you have around it, not only just pioneering it and just being the loudest voice in the room around it, but the way that you actually set things in place so that it can flourish and that you love it and you continue to be proud of what you do, I think is awesome. From taking like a slight shift, has there been a moment along the way that there was this, that you found that you made like a mistake that ended up being a turning point for your business, or?
Yes. And it was all to do with workload. So, I have been caught out. Off the top of my head, I can think of 2 times during this period of running the business where I have taken on or committed to way too much work with not enough time to do it. And in those instances, it led to a number of mistakes, a number of rework, no sleep overnight, and some instances where I've had to kind of explain to the customer what's happened, and apologize and do the best that I can, but this is what's happened. And I think they have been a major turning, those 2 individual times were a major turning point for me to understand that I can't do that to myself, because it doesn't actually result in anything good. It doesn't result it results in stress for me. It results in mistakes that I could have avoided. And again, learnings for me that I've now taken on, and at that point in the road, I've not put myself in that position again, to be that stressed and that under pressure. But yeah, they were probably if we talk mistakes, they're probably some of the biggest mistakes that can come to mind right now, where I've actively gone and said I have to do something about this. I have to change the way that I'm working, and I've implemented that, and fortunately have not been in that situation since. So yeah, that's what stands out for me.
Yeah, awesome. So how do you manage like burnout or creative fatigue in such a hands-on industry and things where it's obviously workload and the sense of like perfectionism around your work?
In terms of like, I guess, burnout, I just manage what I can take and what I can look, because of the size of the business, and because of the position that I'm in terms of having the 2 different jobs. I am fortunate enough to be able to dictate what I take on and what I don't take on. So there have been periods of time in the business where there has been so much going on outside of the business that I couldn't accept cake orders at that particular time, and so I would just simply not take on the work for that period of time. whether it's 1 week or 2 weeks, or maybe I needed, a holiday. So I actually stopped for a month. I do allow myself that flexibility because I can. In terms of creative fatigue, I do make a lot of the same cake flavors a lot of the time because they are very popular. Um, and so I guess the way I kind of navigate myself around that is when I do have weeks where I may not have an order, or I've chosen to have a rest week, I will actually go out and find something else that I just want to make because I want to make it. And I would never put it on my list of cake flavors to offer. But it's more for me to just make something that I don't normally make, or just set myself, a different task other than what I would normally do day in and day out. And that for me, I think kind of keeps the creativity flowing. I do kind of practice designs from time to time just to, stretch my capabilities, to try and keep that growing and not just kind of redoing the same things over and over. And then even with cake flavors, like I did go through a period, actually it was during COVID, where I was like, I'm going to bake something new every single week. And even if it doesn't make it to any business list, I'm just going to make sure, I'm going to see if I can perfect something different every single week. And I did. And I really enjoyed that too. So even though it's not something that I would sell, I think the creativity around trying to learn how to make a croissant or a cinnamon scroll, or, that making that cinnamon apple cake that I remember my grandmother making for me, like those are kind of the things that kind of keep me going when I know that the orders I get are sometimes quite repetitive.
Yeah, totally. And no, I love that. I also love the idea that being able to step aside and almost go have like PD, like you're like doing like personal development for your skills and just
Yeah.
expanding it. And but also doing it in this lens of like, okay, it's something you love, it's something you enjoy. So how do I shake it up so it feels get that spark again?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, super. So cool. So let's like wind it right back to day one. And if you were to give yourself a piece of advice, what would it be?
Be kinder to myself, because I think I mean, bit cliche, but I am my own kind of worst critic. I think, especially in the first few years, I was so hard on myself, needing to perfect everything, just stressing myself out over things that I don't stress about today at all. So I think, yeah, that one piece of advice is just like be kind to yourself, and for me, and I had to teach that to myself to kind of stop, take a step back, don't stress, don't get overworked, don't be angry at yourself because it's not going to fix anything. Just kind of take a step back, relax, and everything will run a lot smoother. And I will enjoy the process along the way a lot more. Might even find some solutions to the problems that I think I'm having. But yeah, I guess like I take that on for me, and I know that it seems quite obvious, but I think for anyone starting a business, or wanting to start a business, I think sometimes it just gets overlooked. It just gets overlooked, and I think that's just one thing that you need to kind of come back to, is that you're doing the best you can. You're offering a product or service because you love it and you want to. And you just need to be kind to yourself, because you will grow, you will develop, you will get there. Like you weren't there one day. I wasn't there one day, but I am there now. So yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, just having grace for the whole big picture, like
Yeah.
it's a journey at the end of the day. And like from that journey, what do you see next? So where's the business going next? What's your dreams? What's your ambitions for even this next 5 years?
So for me, the stage that Con Miele is at the moment, I actually really love it. I love the flex I have. I love the number of orders I have. I love that I can kind of control that at the moment. I don't really see that changing anytime soon. I'd love to kind of keep it this way. But future, like future, I mean, I'm always open to growing the business, trying to make it a little bit bigger than what it is, provided I still am always able to keep that passion and that inspiration, because I don't think this is worth, for me, it would not be worth turning into a full-time business if I don't get to keep that happiness and that inspiration that I have at the moment while I'm making cakes. But I think maybe a small goal for me is that one day I want like a commercial kitchen in my home so that I can kind of, take on more orders, and be able to kind of grow the business that way. I don't know whether it would ever become my full-time gig, but yeah, I definitely think that I do want a commercial kitchen at one point in the future. Yes, it's kind of where I see it going, but happy with where it is for now.
Yeah, totally. And do you have any, I guess, final thoughts for maybe someone that's like just freshly starting out in the industry, or someone that's in a rut, or however it may be? Do you have any pieces of advice or something you'd like to share on your experience?
Look, I think for me, the piece of advice that I would have is just like, if you have an idea, or if you're presented with an opportunity, even if, in my case, I didn't have the idea was presented to me, like, just give it a go, because at the end of the day, if you're not actually going to know unless you do give it a go, and everything is within your control. You control how it grows, you control, what you might offer, you control who your clientele is. There is nothing in this experience that is going to be so scary or so negative that, it's not going to overcome or override, I guess, maybe the feeling that you'll get, offering something to a client or building your own something. Like, to me, this is my own thing. I built it on my own. I'm proud of what I've built, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't just take that first order. So yeah, I think for people who have an idea or just want to kind of start something up, or aren't too sure, like, just give it a go. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does, then fantastic, because you can shape and you can mold and you can grow the way that you want to, and you can take it where you want it to go. And you learn along the way. You will learn along the way. So I think just give it a go, start small, and then see where it takes you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I love that. And I think, yeah, the heart that you have behind your business and the way that you, are just so, I guess, like, patience on the process, I think, is something that will resonate with many people, where it's like, oh, that it's like, okay, I can anchor myself and just kind of go from there.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I really appreciate you sharing your story, even just a snip of what what the past 10 years have been in the industry for you. So yeah, I'm very, very grateful. But that wraps up all our questions. So such a pleasure
Thank you.
chatting through it. And yeah, so that is episode 9 on season 2. We'll see you next time. Bye.